Hello everyone, thank you for joining today's webinar about the digital transformation spectrum. I'm Scarlett Bayes, Senior Research Analyst at SDI, and I will be your host today. I'm joined by Liz and Patrick from SolarWinds, who will be taking you through what a digital transformation project could entail, as well as considerations when evaluating new technologies and tips for automating operations to streamline and drive efficiencies. Before I hand over, if you have any questions for Liz or Patrick throughout their presentation, please post them in the questions section of the control panel, and they'll either address them during the presentation or we'll get to them at the end. So we should have Liz and Patrick on the line.
Yep. Hi there, this is Patrick. Thank you for taking the time to dial in today.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Liz. Very nice to speak with you all.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you both for joining us today, and I'll hand straight over.
All right, terrific. And you guys should all be able to see my screen now. So like Scarlett mentioned, today we are going to be reviewing the digital transformation spectrum and really how you can be powering digital transformation through your ITSM platform. Before we get too far along though, I always find it to be helpful to actually introduce ourselves so you know who the man and woman are behind the screen. So as Scarlett mentioned, my name is Liz Beavers. I am a senior solutions engineer at SolarWinds. I'm particularly working with SolarWinds Service Desk. I act as a technical contact for our customers and for our prospects that are evaluating the Service Desk solution. I'm ITIL 4 certified, and I walk through elements of the platform ranging from technical configuration, our API, workflow elements, as well as areas around SaaS security and privacy. And I've had the opportunity to be a presenter at SolarWinds FLAC Camp, and we'll have some additional resources at the end if you guys are interested in learning more on that. Patrick?
Yeah, my name is Patrick Knoope. I'm Manager Solution Engineering, specifically focusing on the EMEA region. And within that role, I'm responsible for all sales engineers, so solution engineers within the region, but also for the customer support and customer onboardings within this region. And personally, I have a lot of experience working in different IT organizations at various roles within an IT team. So that's where I'm coming from. And now with the SolarWinds and managed organization for about 5 years.
Wonderful. So let's go ahead and dive in. So when you think of digital transformation, what exactly comes to mind, Patrick?
Yeah, so nowadays we hear a lot about digital transformation. So you see it on blogs, on forums, across the entire IT community. It's excellent notes that digital transformation offers organizations the potential to compete, stay relevant, and reduce the cost of delivering services to organizations and running business processes. But personally, when I hear the phrase digital transformation, I generally think about the continuous improvement cycles that organizations have by embracing new technologies to basically change the way that they deliver value to their customers. And also that helps them to solve business problems and streamline business processes. And the key aspect in that is that you keep doing those continuous improvements. It doesn't really stop at that.
Absolutely, and I really couldn't agree with you more, Patrick. Generally, when I think of digital transformation, I take into consideration how our technical world is just evolving in general. I take into consideration the way that I'm interacting and receiving services from areas like my healthcare providers, or even something as simple and as important, especially now, my internet provider, given that we're all remote in today's COVID climate. So much of these experiences and services are digitized. I'm not going to their offices to receive assistance. I'm not receiving paper mail communications from my bank or from my internet provider. I'm actually chatting with them online, or I'm even doing something so like looking up my payment history on a service portal. The addition and trajectory of technology places a new responsibility on service providers. It demands a new way to manage digital products and services, which ultimately cultivates a new experience for myself as a user. So I challenge those of our listeners on the line today. What do you all think of when you hear of digital transformation? If you have some ideas, please feel free to drop your responses below in the Q&A box on your screen. We'd love to hear from you.
Okay, great points. And it's also the perfect segue to actually put the notion of digital transformation into action. The goals of digital transformation is to provide the tools and resources to make people's jobs and business processes easier. Investing in new technology, particularly service desk, helps to propel and stimulate those initiatives.
Absolutely. And I think that the beauty of digital transformation, regardless of verticals, process maturity, or where organizations might be in their ITSM journeys, you really can start mapping your goals or expanding your digital footprint. Through our experiences as sales engineers working with prospects and customers, Patrick and I have seen teams embracing digital transformation anywhere from the beginning of their ITSM evaluations when they're listing out their requirements for what they want out of an ITSM solution. We've also seen it when new champions are introduced. Perhaps you've just inherited a new service desk solution and are being challenged with ways that you could further incorporate elements of digital transformation into your service management strategies. But we've also seen it as more departments adopt the same solution. There really are a number of benefits that you can reap through digital transformation, right, Patrick?
Yeah, definitely. So when you look at the practical elements, which are also on this slide, for example, automations, how can you use automation? How can you use the technology to accomplish motions faster within your organization? For example, by reducing the amount of human interaction by automating work, but also data consolidation and management. We have market data, financial data, customer data, a lot of different data points, but how do we actually use digital tools that allow the business to leverage that data in your advantage? As an example, you have AI capabilities with smart suggestions and actions based leveraging the data that you have available within your platform, but also reporting to get a single pane of glass, getting all that data centralized in one system and deliver at the end more value to your customers based on the data. Then you have cloud computing and hybrid IT. As IT leaders, we need ways to manage all of our tools and the infrastructure. Maybe we're transitioning certain things to the cloud. Maybe we have some legacy systems and infrastructure that still works, but we also all have financial restraints. This is a juggling act that eventually creates some complexity in our business technology that we need to be able to manage. And the one that we highlighted on this page, the employee experience and enablement, is ultimately everything we do in digital transformation needs to make our people better. So we can provide the most sophisticated technology, but if we don't know how to use it, or if it creates roadblocks in the day-to-day work life of our employees, it's a wasted investment. We're going to spend a lot of time on this portion today because ITSM is really the driving force behind this final point.
Yeah, those are great points, Patrick. And just like you mentioned, I think that employee experience and enablement is so critical and is really the crux of what we see across digital transformation initiatives and goal setting. So certainly eager to dive into that a bit further today with you all. So as we continue to move forward, you'll find, as Patrick mentioned, that digital transformation is truly driven by IT. But at the end of the day, it should be benefiting each individual employee as your user base. The Enterprises Project has defined digital transformation as the integration of digital technology into all areas of a business, fundamentally changing how you operate and deliver value to customers. I really like that quote, especially given some entail framework and guiding principles of value co-creation and the fact that your employees really should be at the heart of these decisions and these strategies that you're looking to implement. Technology is changing every business unit and every organization, and it's changing all of our processes from the way that we work and the mediums that we use to engage with others. It's also challenging and driving the ways in which we co-create and deliver that value that entail was talking about and that guiding principle. So as teams add and update technology to deliver value, the service desk and ITSM strategies come into focus. all of these technology investments deliver value only if they are properly supported. So as Patrick mentioned in our previous slide, enablement is also key in that practical application of digital transformation. You could have a really robust and wonderful tool that's a great fit for your organization. But if you don't take the proper steps to best learn the configuration that's going to align with your initiatives, it needs to be properly supported to have that level of success that you're looking for. So today, Patrick and I are going to take a deeper dive with you all, discussing how you can power digital transformation through your ITSM initiatives.
Definitely, thanks. And the importance of technology and the reliance of the business on technology has totally changed the role of IT nowadays. So today we're going to take a deeper dive into some of the ways the service desk can deliver a great experience in supporting your organizational technology. And Liz and I are going to spend some time in reviewing your service management initiatives. So when we take a look at the slide today, what goals are you looking to accomplish with your digital transformation with your ITSM platform? So a couple of examples on requirements and objectives that we've seen at our customers are, for example, they want to improve customer satisfaction. They want to improve the time to resolution. Of course, they want to reduce the workload for their service desk staff. And when you look at one of the requirements that might be related to those objectives, can be, for example, be artificial intelligence to reduce the amount of manual effort on your tickets.
Yeah, definitely, Patrick. Those are great points. I think probably one of my favorites from that list of requirements is the mean to improve customer satisfaction. It might seem so small in collecting that feedback, but by having a method to understand and get the pulse of your users that are interacting with your solution of choice and how the service is actually being relayed and the perspective of the service that they're being provided is huge in terms of helping to drive the strategy that you're mapping out. Something else to take into consideration for where Patrick and I are also going to be discussing further today is when you're introducing organizational changes, what are some of those potential impacts to your employees? So things that you may want to ask yourself, who's going to actually be responsible for driving out these new initiatives? How today are my employees or my set of requesters, how are they going in and actually articulating what it is that they're experiencing as a problem, or what do they need further assistance with to better understand how to do it themselves moving forward? So that really helps you key in about those that are going to be using your solution end to end, from those responsible for configuring the platform all the way to those that are actually going to be asking for assistance and requiring service.
Definitely, and these are major transitions for all of the users within your organization. It's pairing your objectives with your ITSM solution and strategies should help in execution. Before we get too far, let's kick things off by reviewing your drive behind digital transformation.
Absolutely. So how exactly can you support your goals with your current ITSM solution? I think I speak for both of us, Patrick, when I say that this is the biggest question that we pose when we're working with prospects and clients. It's really the crux of setting your requirements, either when you're looking for a new tool or you're expanding the footprint of your existing platform. ITSM's role should not just be to help interface with the requesters and to track tickets. It really can offer so much more to your organization and your users. Consider other facets in an ITSM solution like asset tracking, license compliance, the ability to plan for changes, performance trends. These are all critical pieces of your technology initiatives. With this in mind, take into consideration the other modules or feature sets of your tool of choice that perhaps you've not yet had the opportunity to leverage or implement. Could potentially implementing these other arenas help to achieve larger goals in your digital transformation initiatives?
Certainly. And digital transformation goals don't need to be viewed in a vacuum of IT only. We've seen it apply to many verticals to help a number of challenges. A very good example of that is our customer Yorkshire Water in the UK, who actually started using our solution for their IT department, replacing their own built on-premise service desk solution. But they ended up using our solution for all departments, providing services to their employees and customers. So from their front desk, uses it to register new visitors, get guest Wi-Fi access for the visitor setup, but also facilities for maintenance requests, HR for onboarding, but also their field agents who are on site doing some job and need to register whenever they completed a certain job.
That's a great story. It's probably one of my favorite customer stories, speaking to how your ITSM solution and that digital transformation can be felt across multiple internal service providers at one organization. I've also seen in my experience the implementation of an ITSM platform like school districts. That's a huge use case for where we've seen SolarWinds Service Desk to be successful. There have been some school districts that have changed and shifted from paper-based request management, so being tasked with actually using pen and paper to fill out the request for a new device, to growing and offering a rich catalog of services with digital resources paired with content for staff and students with use of SolarWinds Service Desk's portal and service catalog. It's a really amazing journey to see all of that grow and build, really propelling and improving that employee experience as well. So at the bottom line, outlining your digital transformation objectives helps to broaden the scope for who and where you can help, leading to more streamlined processes, just like Patrick and I spoke to, as well as an extension of the platform usability for all parties. So at this time, we actually do want to ask you all to take a moment to answer a poll that Scarlett is going to make available. Our question here for you all is, which of these ITSM features that you see in the available list would be most beneficial to help your organization to achieve digital transformation? Now, I think that these are all great examples, but you can only select one. Patrick, do you want to talk us through some of their selections, and we can lead that into our next part of our conversation?
Yeah, sure. So, for example, the user-friendly portal is what we see a lot of customers want a single portal where they can give their employees a one-stop shop, basically to request any kind of service from any service provider in the organization. Integrated ITAM and ITSM is combining your asset management with your service management solution and using the data available as part of that. Automation workflows is reducing the amount of manual interactions within your different processes and your requests that are coming in. And when you look at integrations to other platforms, that can be very broad, but it are ways to connect to other systems, which could, for example, be a monitoring solution connected to your service desk, but could also be a remote control solution to quickly help your end users to help them support with their issue.
Yeah, those are great examples, and I know that we're going to get to a number of those in a minute. Personally, I think from this list, one of my favorites is the automated workflows. I think that there is so much to gain for teams here, and it could be starting as simple as your baseline configuration for routing, all the way to having a really complex workflow under your belt to help attain improved services like onboarding or employee transfers and terminations, just helping bring that visibility to multiple service providers in one space.
Definitely.
Okay, it looks like most of the audience have voted now, so I will close the poll and share the results. Can
Awesome.
You see them?
Yeah, we sure can, and it looks like a lot of people agree that automated workflows was one of our highest ranked ones. But I also love that both the user-friendly portal and integrations to other platforms were ranked neck and neck. I think the portal is a big one as well, and I think that's actually something that we're going to kind of lead into and speak to a bit more, Patrick.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll go to the next slide. So basically, these are kind of the different components that, from a service desk perspective, can help you to drive your digital transformation efforts. And if you have a mature service desk, it can act as a kind of glue for your entire technology environment. It holds all of the data that helps you drive educated decisions, be it for purchases or needing of additional headcounts, but also how to provide more efficient support and better services. And above all of these, visibility into your communication patterns. Now, what feature stands out to me personally, and I know it was quite a bad rating on the poll, but to me personally, having a combined service desk and asset management platform stands out, as that allows your service desk to make the best use of the data available and also make educated decisions based on that. But when we look at a bit further at the component that we just had within the poll and that got quite a good rating is the automated workflows, for example. It helps our customers to streamline their processes and also to reduce the amount of manual actions that need to be taken by automation. Integrations to other platforms that actually allows our customers to connect, for example, their monitoring solutions straight away into the CMDB, which is embedded in the service desk. And that drives the ability of proactively supporting your customers and do data-driven root cause analysis. When we look at the user-friendly portal, you can give your employees a one-stop shop to request any kind of service from any service provider in the organization. And next to that, from your side, it will help you to drive case deflection by self-service and providing knowledge, but also the capability of live chat for direct kind of support to your employees.
Yeah, those are great examples, Patrick. And I also am laughing with you in terms of the response for the integrated asset and service management solution. I agree with you. I think that's where we've seen both in the evaluations that we've helped to facilitate, as well as when we see our customers grow into asset management following their service desk purchase, having that integration, while again, it might not seem top of mind out of the gate, I think in the long haul, as you mentioned, helps not only drive those decisions in the future, but it brings visibility so that you understand who some of your problem requesters might be. Like myself, I'm always asking for a password reset. I know that my IT team probably has a good laugh, but they can also, with an integrated solution, see what specific asset I have in my ownership that I need that assistance with for that password reset, or perhaps when I go and ask for access to a specific application, if I already have that downloaded on my device or not. But you also alluded to some of the assistance from a problem change and even a release management with some of those further integrations from an ITIL perspective, and having that broadened scoped across ITSM and having a digital catalog or repository of your inventory can also help in terms of doing more proactive problem or change management so that you really understand the full scope of some of those changes that you're going to be implementing within your environment. Again, I think these are all valuable features and goals ultimately at the heart of not only our prospects evaluations, but also those initiatives that teams who maybe have inherited a solution may be looking to achieve moving forward. As Patrick pointed out as well, the service desk is the strategic cog in the wheel that drives digital transformation. Your existing service management strategies nudge you to not only take stock of where you are, but also what are the larger needs of your user base, your business processes as a whole. Key stakeholders and existing service design helps to better understand and realize how digital transformation will benefit and change those business operations moving forward to enact efficiencies. So let's take into consideration some of those advanced feature sets that you could potentially leverage to further those initiatives. I know in the last slide and on our poll, we spent a little bit of time talking about automation, but again, this could be as simple or as complex as your organization deems necessary. So I think a great one that our implementation team particularly takes a pretty strong approach to helping teams out with is rules for basic incident or ticket routing, as well as prioritization. So if you are able to leverage skill-based routing, you know each time a hardware classified incident is coming through your queue, it's getting directed instantaneously to the appropriate team of technicians or the individual that's best equipped to handle those, helping ultimately provide a better service to that requester that's reported that hardware-based issue. There's also those elements of workflow automation that I know that many of you all also felt similarly in terms of the importance and the benefits that could be reaped from that. And that's where I see workflow automation taking into account If certain parameters are met, perhaps then this action is triggered, or even things like automating a PTO request, or as Patrick had alluded to that our customer Yorkshire Water has done, automating the visitor process. So when somebody comes to your office, being able to have a quick form so you're collecting uniform data and making sure the appropriate parties are aware that their visitor is in the office. Another great element of that advanced technology in your solution to lean on can be artificial intelligence. I know Patrick had hinted at this a little bit earlier as well, but leveraging machine learning and AI can help with things like suggesting the appropriate solution. Again, while that may seem small, we've evidenced on our service portal at SolarWinds Service Desk, having these recommendations helps to achieve case deflection, which ultimately helps to educate your employees. So if that user is able to find that knowledge base article guiding them through the steps of how they could troubleshoot on their own, that might alleviate their need to even submit a ticket, which gives time back to your technician's day, which I think speaks volumes. Some other ways that you could also leverage some of those smart technologies with AI, having the recommendations for which records should be related. Perhaps you're able to have that streamlined visibility into there being similar incidents reported, which might lead you to recording a problem or needing to introduce and implement a change in your environment, as well as things like sentiment analysis, having a pulse into whether or not your employees feel that they are giving or receiving, I should say, good service, or if they're frustrated, might help you prioritize the way in which you're handling the incidents in your queue. Rounding out some of these advanced technology features as well, those integrations. This is a key element, I think, that we hear in so many of our conversations, like the means to consolidate data between tools. While you might be looking to have that one platform for all, you may also be receiving data from other sources. So having the opportunity to communicate between those pivotal outlets that you're using day in and day out is going to help you make smarter and more efficient decisions, but also have that streamlined visibility that you require.
Totally. And now, Liz, you already talked a bit about that data on the platform and combining it by using integrations and stuff like that. And now the question would be like, are we using all of the data that your ITSM solution currently collects? So we covered a lot, and while we can like set goals and apply a number of features in our platform to meet those targets, how can you lean on the data that is available within the Service Desk platform to achieve your continuous improvement on the digital spectrum? So there's a wealth of information you can pull from the tool and make those insights actionable. Consider when you're looking to bring in other internal service providers into your case that you're working on to make the most educated and successful build to support the transition to the other team when you lean on this, you lean on historical data to do so.
Absolutely. Or what about when you're making the case to even hire more employees for your team? Having the means to extract data around ticket volume, incident trends, even the time spent by your technicians can help you vouch for the additional headcount. Using the data your systems provide can help continue your drive towards digital transformation. It's not just about tracking what you know and where you are now. Data gives you the visibility of where you need and can grow in the future. We actually got a really good question that leads into what we're going to be talking about next, and that's how you can use reporting to identify automations that a team could benefit from. I think being able to lean in on some of those trend reports that I was just hinting at, perhaps the volume of categorized tickets, maybe that's going to give you a better understanding of where you might be able to automate or establish some of that default routing, or again, perhaps where you need more headcount. By understanding the volume of a classification of a ticket that you're getting, perhaps that's a great use case to understand not only where you can have automation rules in place, but also maybe where you need to create additional content. So to keep moving forward and to drive continuous improvement within your service desk and your organization, just as Patrick mentioned, use your data. It gives you a line in from a historical perspective that can be translated into your proactive motions, helping to streamline operations within your environment. This can help fuel improved procedures for incident, problem, and change management. And now I have an understanding of what I might need to upgrade within my infrastructure. So really shifting from a reactive perspective to more proactive motions moving forward.
Exactly. And seeing the example on the screen, this actually talks to how a lot of our customers are using their reports and benchmarks to make sound decisions on their service level improvements. For example, proactively replacing an asset after an X amount of incidents or problems that are raised against the asset, or using the agent utilization reports to skill the service desk team to improve your response times and resolution times, which both results in a better customer satisfaction like we talked about before. Now, scalability and moving beyond the traditional digital transformation for just IT use cases. It's improving and applying your service management strategies. It's cyclic and evolves as the technology used to support those services changes and transforms as well. While much of the burden to digitalize falls on IT shoulders, it shouldn't stop there. And there are a number of ways to both start and continue the digital transformation progression. With all that we covered today, how can you get started with digital transformation in your organization? We encourage you to take a step back and think about the following. So when we look at the picture, on the first step, you would evaluate your organizational processes. We often see that the story and transformation begins with your IT team and leaders. However, all of our organizational service providers, they collaborate. They have cross-departmental roles in internal processes. What other service providers and departments within your organization could benefit from automating those operations? And by furthering communications and work out of one platform, you could fulfill the notion of a hybrid IT environment. And everyone stands to the benefit with a model like this.
Definitely. And I think as we keep moving forward, the second element you see here is collect stakeholder feedback. So before you begin even building those streamlined workflows or selling that digital transformation dream, revisit your baseline objectives. So have the chance to take a step back and take stock of the goals, needs, and challenges that each service provider involved faces. How can your ITSM platform help to alleviate pain points, but also drive efficiencies? Pairing features and advanced technology like we spoke to earlier with feedback from users and teams will help propel sound solutions and make for a successful foundation for future iterations.
Yeah, then consolidate and streamline. So once you've got a firm grasp on what these other internal providers need to be successful, lean on what they can, what can bring all processes and requests together. Your service desk can serve as a single outlet for all users within your organization. Your ITSM platform should be the consolidated repository for incoming tickets and requests, broken up by the different departments and service providers in your organization. Push to integrate your digital technology to extend visibilities and drive your teams to work smarter but not harder.
And then as we round out this vision of scaling, your journey towards digital transformation is the fourth element, but it's certainly not the last one, as this is all built on the premise of continuous improvement. So as we look at this fourth element here, leverage new technologies. So create your plan to deliver these improvements in as seamless a manner as possible. Coordinate your plan to introduce the changes. So take consideration, how will you test these changes? Even consider when getting these new and improved resources out, how will you bring your user base up to speed to ensure success and adoption moving forward? Once you've implemented your plan, leverage your metrics to make data-driven decisions moving forward. Pairing those data-backed insights with feedback will help you achieve that continuous improvement effort. I think with that, a question that we recently received too is a great way for us to not only round out this vision of scaling, but also move into some of the QA here. We had a user write in, my organization challenges that from time to time, they need to add new services to their ITSM or recategorize the services. they found here that some of the issues that they experience is that they need to continue to update their service documentation and their service catalog, but they also need to update users about these new changes that are taking effect. So what's the right way to manage this case? I think this is something that Patrick and I actually hear quite a bit, particularly with our existing user base, is this notion of refining and re-implementing to re-energize the services that you're providing. So one key element of this actually, I think, not only comes from some of what you see here on the screen in terms of evaluating your current processes, where you're making the change, but also collecting the feedback. And I think once you've done that and you understand what changes you want to introduce from a classification perspective, or where you might be eliminating maybe some elements of that process when you're introducing the new catalog item. So not only is it about the internal work, but also lean on your coveted resources through your ITSM provider. We found, and Patrick, I don't want to speak for you, but I think for the most part, our team is really involved in these engagements to go through and retune what's in place. And we also have an implementation team that can also help with those efforts as well. So leveraging the data and the actions that you know, as well as what you're looking to implement, and then partnering with your provider can really help to make that a success. And I think in terms of getting that information out to your employees when you're making those changes, do it with new knowledge-based content, or if you have like an intranet, publishing those announcements to make them aware, because at the end of the day, you're making these changes to drive better service and an improved experience for them.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's also really important to have a tool that supports you in being able to easily edit your service catalog, and don't need like a technical person that will be the go-to person for any kind of changes to your catalog. You need to have your business people being able to customize those service catalog items, to change the documentation related to the services, and publish it to the end users.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. Scrolling through some of the other elements that we've received from the chat, I know earlier when we posed the question of what do you think of when you hear digital transformation, one of the responses that we received as well was, I think of collecting and leveraging data through technology. So whoever it was that made that answer, did you see our PowerPoint before this? You clearly knew where we were driving, but I think that's probably, I know we spent a lot of time talking about leveraging the data out of your solution to make more informed decisions and implement more along the lines of digital transformation. I think that's key. And again, understanding some of the data that you are getting out of the platform, that's certainly where take stock of the feedback you've received from other stakeholders. So what are metrics that some higher ups or executives are looking to achieve and understand so that you can continue to propel and provide value behind the use cases and changes that you're making?
See, there's one more question. Can you provide some advice on managing licenses and access to applications? This is a common request and would like to address this more efficiently. So what I've seen most of our customers do is within our solution, but also in other ITSM solutions, you can have your onboarding processes and your offboarding processes where you can automate the way where how you can assign licenses and assign access to certain applications within those processes, but also use your CMDB to basically structure and document which users are having access to which kind of solutions out there. So at the end, whenever someone comes on board or off board, more importantly, you can view their account and see which actual applications are related to their account. So which are they using? And you might need to offboard them from using those applications as well.
Yeah, that's a great use case, and I love that the way that you articulated what is possible. And I think that that even goes back to the value and benefit of having that integrated service management and asset management platform is to have heightened visibility for particular and common use cases like that as well. But also where those automated workflows from your service catalog can really stand to help pivot and drive additional value for your team too.
Yeah. What also comes to mind now is that for license management in this case, what you could do within your ITSM solution is create your software contracts within your contract management module, and then compare that against the software that actually has been detected, which is installed on the machines. So by doing that comparison, you can run basically your compliance reports.
Okay, thank you for covering off some of the questions, guys. I've got a couple more for you. So what would you say are the most common beyond IT use cases for service management?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. I think that there are a lot of use cases for beyond IT. And I think Patrick's example of one of our customers is a great one. We see a lot of folks initially begin their digital transformation journey with IT. And then I think naturally, as they're going beyond IT, start with a group like human resources or facilities. They already have a lot of overlap in many of their other requests, like onboarding. They have to physically get that workstation set up for that new user, or human resources is responsible for making sure that they have things like their benefits and their payroll established. So connecting those other teams that aren't necessarily in IT, but have just as pivotal a role in some of those processes, I think is a great next step to really create that beyond IT and hybrid IT use case in a service management platform.
Okay, great. So for anyone that isn't too familiar with the terms beyond IT or hybrid IT, are you using those as synonyms of, say, enterprise service management or shared services, things like that?
Yeah, that definitely can lean on a shared services. Truly, beyond IT is just that. So like I mentioned before, generally we see ITSM solutions and the involvement beginning with your IT team that's responsible for break fix, hardware requests, and then taking the next step to incorporate a different internal service provider in the mix. So that's what comes to mind when we use beyond IT.
Yeah, that sounds pretty familiar with SDI's definitions. And our SDI research actually shows that, you know, hybrid IT, beyond IT, those are going to be really important elements of digital transformation projects. But so as you were mentioning hybrid IT environments earlier in the presentation, how can ITSM help to manage that?
Patrick, do you want to talk about what you think?
Yeah. So within an IT department, you see like all kind of different teams working on like your IT processes. So you have your applications team, your hardware team, your operations. You have your various types of solutions in house. So you have your on-premise tools, you have your cloud tools. Nowadays, that is all that combined. That is called your hybrid IT. And how can ITSM help you manage that? Is by putting in place good processes, like following an incident or problem or change process, but also having your alerts coming in from your integrated monitoring tools, and then flow that into following a problem record. From a problem record, you would perform a change, and having your change advisory board review that change that goes across probably like different cloud tools and also your on-premise tools. So it's really like it's a broad question, but it's like within a lot of IT environments, you nowadays see that you have different types of IT environments, and combining that, your ITSM helps you manage that with your processes.
And I think along the same lines as well, not only from managing from a process perspective, but also visibility. So as you begin to have that hybrid environment, and as we like to consider it, that single pane of glass for all providers in one solution, also leaning on something as simple as your configuration within your digital solution of choice. So being able to go through and segment your roles to ensure that visibility is appropriately allotted, so that human resources users are only seeing those HR-based requests, whereas IT is only focused in on their elements. So I think that that's another key component of ITSM helping to manage that hybrid environment.
Okay, I think that's all the questions we have time for today. So thank you both very much, Liz and Patrick. This was a really, really interesting and insightful presentation.
Wonderful, and thank you all so much for your time. The last element we have here on the screen is, if you all are interested in learning more about SolarWinds Service Desk, we have some additional resources here. Patrick and I would love to connect with you all on LinkedIn as well. But in the meantime, thank you guys very much for your time and your thoughtful questions today. We really appreciated it.
Thanks so much, guys, and thank you all for listening. Bye.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.